The New Mexico desert guards its secrets beneath layers of dust and time, but some legends refuse to remain silent. When the ruthless Sinaloa Norte cartel set their sights on Shadow Creek Ranch, they committed their gravest miscalculation. They dismissed Marcus "Ghost" Riley as nothing more than a quiet rancher living out his retirement. They saw his weathered face and graying temples, counted his modest herd of cattle, and assumed they'd found an easy mark. They failed to realize those steady hands once led the Navy SEAL's most classified counter-narcotics unit, or that his ranch hands were all carefully selected combat veterans. The October wind carries dust across Shadow Creek's fence line as Marcus Riley inspects fresh tracks in the hard-packed earth. His trained eye catches details others would miss: depth, pattern, spacing. These aren't the random prints of local wildlife or wandering cattle. These tracks tell a story of careful surveillance, of professionals studying patterns and testing. Defenses, just like old times in Kandahar, some habits never fade. Got movement on the ridge, boss? Jake Cooper's voice crackles through Riley's earpiece. The former Marine Scout sniper maintains his casual tone, but 20 years of combat experience. Let Riley hear the tension underneath. Black SUV, heavily tinted, third pass this morning. Riley straightens slowly, making a show of stretching his back like any aging rancher would. His eyes never leave the vehicle as it crawls past his property line. Getting popular around here lately. Through his peripheral vision, he spots his team taking positions. Cooper in the converted water tower, Sarah "Doc" Martinez checking supplies in the medical shed, Mike Torres adjusting equipment in the barn. All veterans, all hand-picked, all recognizing the signs of coming trouble. Found something interesting by the south fence, Torres reports, his voice carrying the deliberate casualness that speaks volumes to those who know. Looks like we had visitors last night, professional ones. Riley walks the fence line, studying the ground with practiced precision. The story written in the dirt is clear to those who know how to read it. Boot prints in tactical formation, tire tracks from modified vehicles, markers left by someone mapping approaches and escape routes. They're being studied, measured, assessed. Getting that feeling again, boss? Cooper asks from his elevated position, his scope never leaving the suspicious vehicle. Yeah, Riley responds quietly. Memories of similar patterns in different deserts, surfacing. Same one I got before Fallujah, a radio chirps at Riley's hip. Multiple vehicles approaching from the south, Martinez reports. 4 SUVs matching the profile of our morning visitor, moving with purpose. Riley shares a look with Torres that carries 2 decades of shared combat experience. No words needed, just silent understanding. They begin moving unhurriedly toward their positions, nothing that would draw attention, just ranch hands going about their business. Contact Border Patrol, Riley instructs quietly. Agent Delgado needs to know what's coming. Already did, Martinez confirms. She says cartel activity's been spiking all along this sector. They're pushing hard into new territory. Through his scope, Cooper tracks the approaching vehicles. Boss, these guys move like professionals. Military training, maybe private contractors. This isn't your typical cartel muscle. Riley watches dust clouds rise on the horizon as the SUVs approach. His tactical mind catalogues details automatically. Spacing between vehicles, approach vectors, the way they position to control potential escape routes. No, it isn't. These are their elite teams, which means someone high up has taken personal interest in our little ranch. The vehicles stop in a perfect triangle formation at his property line. Riley counts 12 men emerging, their movements betraying extensive tactical training. Their leader steps forward, designer sunglasses failing, to hide the cold calculation in his eyes. Gold chains glint against tactical gear that costs more than most ranchers make in a year. Marcus Riley, the man's voice carries authority earned through violence. I'm Alejandro Ramirez. We've come to discuss a business opportunity. Riley steps into view, playing his role perfectly, just a concerned rancher facing unexpected visitors. "This is private property, senor." Ramirez's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Not for much longer. The Sinaloa Norte cartel is expanding operations. Your ranch occupies a strategic position. We're prepared to compensate you generously, of course. "Not interested." Riley's voice carries the weight of command, a tone that's ended conflicts before. They began. The cartel leader's smile turns predatory. "You misunderstand, Mr. Riley. This isn't a negotiation. By sunset, this ranch belongs to us. The only choice you have is whether you leave breathing." From his peripheral vision, Riley spots his people taking positions. Cooper in the tower, Torres behind farm equipment, Martinez ready with medical supplies. Just like old times, different battlefield. "Last chance to leave," Riley warns, voice steady as he plays for time, while Agent Delgado's border patrol units move into position miles away. Ramirez draws a chrome-plated pistol. "Perhaps a demonstration, then." He gestures to his men. "Bring them." Two cartel soldiers drag forward a struggling couple, the Hendersons from the neighboring ranch. Mary Henderson's face shows signs of rough handling, while Tom's defiant glare carries fresh bruises. "Found them trying to warn you," Ramirez explains casually. "Brave, but foolish. Now they get to help explain why cooperation is in everyone's best interest." Riley's pulse remains steady, decades of training taking over. His tactical mind processes angles, distances, threat assessment. 12 tangos, split positions, 2 civilian hostages. Just another day at the office. "Let them go," he says calmly. "This is between us. Nothing is just between us anymore." Ramirez presses his pistol against Mary Henderson's temple. "This territory belongs to the cartel now. Everyone will learn to cooperate. The rest is lost." As Riley explodes into motion, 20 years of special operations training unleashed in a blur of violence. His left hand traps Ramirez's pistol, forcing it skyward as his right elbow crushes the cartel leader's throat. The gun discharges harmlessly as he dislocates the man's trigger finger with mechanical precision. Shots crack out as his team opens fire from concealed positions. 2 cartel soldiers drop before they can raise their weapons. Riley rolls behind a tractor, drawing his concealed pistol as he shouts for the Hendersons to take cover. The courtyard erupts in gunfire as Riley's first shot drops a cartel shooter taking aim at Cooper. His second catches another trying to flank. Torres' position. Each movement flows with practiced efficiency, muscle memory earned through countless operations. "Just like Fallujah," Cooper calls out, his rifle dropping another hostile. "Fallujah had better weather," Riley returns, advancing methodically through the chaos. Each shot finds its mark with surgical precision, throat, eye socket, joints in body armor. Places that end fights permanently. The remaining cartel soldiers retreat to their vehicles, dragging their unconscious leader. Engines roar as they flee, leaving 4 dead behind. The entire exchange lasted less than 30 seconds. Riley helps. The Hendersons to their feet as Border Patrol sirens wail in the distance. "You folks okay?" Mary nods, professional composure returning. "Thanks to you. They weren't expecting that." "No." Riley surveys the scene with tactical eyes, already calculating their next move. "But they will be now." Agent Delgado's vehicle appears on the horizon as Riley's team secures the area. The real war hasn't even started yet. The cartel will be back with better intelligence and more firepower. But that's okay. Some old soldiers never lose their edge. They just find better ground to defend. Through it all, shell casings gleam in the New Mexico dust, marking the spot where the Sinaloa Norte cartel learned their first harsh lesson about underestimating quiet ranchers with combat-weathered hands. But some lessons have to be taught more than once, and Marcus Riley is prepared to provide a very thorough education. Empty shell casings glint in the desert sun as Agent Maria Delgado's boots crunch across Shadow Creek Ranch's gravel courtyard. 4 cartel bodies lie where they fell, their weapons scattered in the dust. Her trained eye catches details others might miss: precision shot placement, tactical positioning, methodical efficiency. "Mind walking me through what happened here?" she asks, though the evidence speaks volumes. Riley finishes checking on the Hendersons before answering. They wanted to buy the ranch. Couldn't take no for an answer. 4 dead, 3 wounded by my count. Delgado studies bullet trajectories. Awful precise shooting for a rancher. Grew up hunting. Riley's face betrays nothing. Must have been some mighty small targets. She holds his gaze. Most hunters don't double-tap center mass. Torres emerges from securing the perimeter. "All clear, boss. Cooper's got eyes on the ridge. No movement since they pulled back. You're running an awful professional operation for a cattle ranch," Delgado observes. Had to adapt. Riley watches dust clouds rising to the south. Border's gotten mean lately. It's about to get meaner. Delgado pulls photos from her jacket. "Your friend with the gold chains, Alejandro Ramirez, Sinaloa Norte Cartel's regional commander. He doesn't make house calls unless something big's coming." Mary Henderson joins them, still shaken but composed. They're targeting all the border ranches. The Jacobsons sold out last month after their barn mysteriously burned. The Martinez family left after their cattle started dying. Shadow Creek is the last holdout. Strategic position. Riley's military assessment automatic. High ground overlooking 3 valleys. Clear lines of sight to the border. Natural choke points. He catches himself. Almost like someone chose this land for its tactical advantages. Delgado's tone suggests she's connecting dots she doesn't like. Cooper reporting movement on the South Ridge. Vehicles gathering. Looks like they're setting up surveillance. "They'll be back," Riley says evenly. "Stronger this time." "I can have Border Patrol units here in 30 minutes, Delgado offers. "They'll be gone in 20, Riley studies the horizon. "And next time, they won't announce themselves." "I should contact the sheriff," Delgado decides. "Won't help," Riley's voice carries certainty earned through experience. "Local law enforcement isn't equipped for what's coming." "And you are." Instead of answering, Riley turns to the Hendersons. "Tom, Mary, you should leave. Things are going to get complicated." "This is our home," Tom protests. "Been in Mary's family 3 generations. We're not running." They're not just looking for a trafficking route, Riley realizes, examining fresh. Surveyor marks near the fence line. These are construction markers. They're building infrastructure. Explains the escalation. Delgado photographs the evidence. "This is a major operation. Your ranch is the last piece they need." Cooper's voice crackles over the radio. "Boss, got another vehicle approaching. Black Mercedes, diplomatic plates, looks official." "Let them through," Riley decides. The Mercedes stops at a respectful distance. A man in an expensive suit emerges, hands carefully visible. "Mr. Riley, I represent certain business interests. After this morning's unfortunate incident, we hope to discuss a more civilized resolution." "Not interested." $20 million, the man offers. "Cash, untraceable. You could retire anywhere." "Already retired. This is my anywhere." The man's diplomatic veneer cracks slightly. "Mr. Riley, surely you understand your situation. The cartel always achieves its objectives, always. The only variable is the cost." "Understand yours," Riley counters. "Your cartel just lost 4 men trying to take my ranch. That's expensive. Walking away now, that's free." Nobody walks away. The man's smile turns cold. "You have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, the price becomes prohibitive." They watch the Mercedes disappear into the desert heat. Delgado breaks the silence. "You know they're not bluffing." "Neither am I." Riley turns to Torres. "Get everyone back to the house. Time to adapt and overcome." Inside, Shadow Creek's ranch house becomes a command center. Satellite maps cover the dining table as Riley's core team gathers. Torres, Cooper, Martinez, and other veterans turned ranch hands, men and women who understand what's coming. They'll probe our defenses first, Riley analyzes. Test response. At times, look for weaknesses, then hit hard from multiple directions. Just like old times, Cooper notes, except no air support this time. We've got something better. Riley traces terrain features on the map. Home field advantage. Mary Henderson studies their planning. You're really going to fight the entire cartel? No. Riley's eyes hold cold certainty. We're going to make them fight us. Different thing entirely. They'll have numbers, Torres points out. Professional weapons, military training. Good. Riley starts marking defensive positions. Means they'll think like soldiers. Soldiers we can predict. Delgado watches their preparations with growing understanding. You're not just some rancher who served, are you? Does it matter? Might help me decide whether to report this or help. Riley considers her for a long moment. Ever hear of Operation Neptune's Shadow? Her eyes widen slightly. The mission that crippled the Gulf Cartel's marine operations in '08? That's still classified. Some of it, Riley continues, marking the map. The parts about how a small SEAL team trapped and eliminated 40 cartel boats using coastal terrain and superior tactics. Sound familiar? That was you? Doesn't matter. What matters is it worked. He looks up. Question is, are you reporting or helping? Delgado studies the maps, professional warring with practical. Finally, she adds her own notes to their planning. Border patrols stretched thin. Response times are 20 minutes best case. You'll be on your own. Story of my life. Riley turns to his team. We've got 24 hours. Let's make them count. They work through the night, transforming Shadow Creek Ranch into a defensive stronghold. Every piece of equipment becomes a potential weapon or cover. Every terrain feature a tactical advantage. Martinez establishes a medical station in the basement, while Cooper sets up observation posts covering all approaches. Dawn finds Riley on his porch, watching dust clouds gather on the horizon. The calm before someone else's storm. Quite a team you've built, Delgado notes, joining him. Almost like you were preparing for something like this. Sometimes the past doesn't stay past. Riley checks his weapon with practiced efficiency. Sometimes it comes looking for a rematch. More vehicles appear through the heat haze. The cartel's 24 hours are up. Time to remind them why some old soldiers are best left alone. The first shots come at dawn, muzzle flashes sparking from the ridgeline as cartel marksmen test the ranch's defenses. Bullets crack against reinforced positions, seeking weakness. Riley watches through his scope, counting shooters and calculating angles. 4 on the ridge, he notes calmly. 2 more in the brush north. Military-grade equipment. They're not here to negotiate anymore. Got movement in the South Valley, Cooper reports over the radio. Vehicle column approaching. Looks like their main force. Riley's tactical mind processes terrain and timing. Torres, you in position? Modified harvesters ready. Torres's voice carries professional focus. They won't expect this. Through high-powered optics, Riley watches the cartel convoy approach. 4 armored SUVs and 2 tactical trucks. Their formation shows military precision, but also arrogance. They think superior numbers guarantee victory. Watch your fields of fire, Riley reminds his team. They'll have civilian shields, no collateral damage. Martinez monitors medical equipment. In the reinforced basement, trauma kits are ready. Try not to need them. The convoy reaches the first checkpoint. Riley's finger tightens on his radio. Torres now! The modified harvester roars to life, its heavy steel frame transformed into a mobile barricade. Cartel vehicles swerve as it blocks their advance, creating a natural kill zone. Their military training works against them as they respond with textbook precision, exactly as Riley predicted. They're deploying east, Cooper reports. Just like you said. Professionals are predictable, Riley replies. Professionals are manageable. The cartel's first wave emerges from their vehicles in tactical formation. Their weapons and movements confirm Riley's suspicions. Former Mexican special forces now serving the highest bidder. Their leader barks orders in military shorthand. Riley's voice remains steady. "Cooper, light it up." Remote detonated charges transform the landscape. Carefully placed explosives channel the cartel forces exactly where Riley wants them. Their professional training makes them respond predictably, seeking cover in precisely the wrong places. "Targets clustering at Point Charlie," Torres reports. "Execute." Hidden positions erupt with coordinated fire. Riley's team demonstrates their own military training, each shot precise and purposeful. Cartel soldiers drop before they can effectively respond, their superior numbers meaning nothing against better positioning and planning. Vehicle 3 is breaking formation, Cooper calls out. They're trying to flank west. "Let them," Riley's scope finds the vehicle commander. Right into the crossfire. The SUV's armored windows prove useless as Riley's shot removes their leadership. The vehicle swerves, blocking their own reinforcements. Chaos erupts in their ranks as command structure disintegrates. They're calling in heavy weapons, Delgado warns, monitoring cartel communications. Technical with a mounted 50 cal, 3 minutes out. Perfect. Riley switches positions smoothly. Time for phase 2. The technical appears over the ridge, its heavy machine gun already firing. Rounds tear through the morning air, but find no targets. Riley's people remain concealed in reinforced positions, waiting. "Hold," Riley commands. "Let them commit." The technical advances, supporting a second wave of cartel soldiers. Their confidence grows as they meet no resistance. Step by step, they move exactly where Riley wants them. Now, modified farm equipment transforms into weapons of war. A reinforced tractor blade becomes a battering ram, crushing the technical before its gunner can react. Improvised explosives disable their remaining vehicles as coordinated fire eliminates their tactical advantages. "They're falling back," Cooper reports with professional satisfaction. 6 vehicles destroyed, 14 tangos down. No casualties on our side. They're not done. Riley studies cartel movements through his scope. That was just their first play. As if confirming his words, new vehicles appear on the horizon. Not regular cartel SUVs, but serious military hardware. Armored personnel carriers bearing cartel markings. "Where did they get APCs?" Delgado demands. "Bought them," Riley answers. "Along with the crews to operate them. Former military, probably private contractors now. Can we handle armor?" "Already planned for it." Riley switches channels. "Torres, commence Operation Dust Devil." "Copy that." Professional excitement colors Torres's voice. "Time to show them why you don't underestimate ranch equipment." The APCs advance in standard military formation, covering each other's blind spots. Their crews demonstrate professional coordination, but they've never faced someone with Riley's experience in asymmetric warfare. "Watch this," he tells Delgado. "Lesson in adaptive tactics. Modified farming equipment launches coordinated strikes from multiple angles. Heavy machinery, transformed into anti-armor weapons through precise engineering and tactical innovation. The first APC's track snaps under impossible pressure, immobilizing it. The second finds itself trapped in pre-prepared terrain features. Beautiful, Riley comments as chaos erupts. Cooper, Phase 3. Precision fire eliminates exposed crew members while shape charges breach armored hulls. The cartel's expensive military hardware becomes very expensive coffins. Their remaining forces retreat in disorder, leaving burning vehicles and fallen comrades behind. That's going to hurt their operational budget, Delgado notes. Good, Riley's voice holds cold certainty. Hurt their wallet enough, someone higher. Up starts asking questions. The Hendersons emerge from their secured position, medical bags ready. Anyone need attention? Just equipment repairs, Torres reports. They didn't lay a finger on us. They will, Riley studies the horizon. That was just their probe, testing our capabilities. Next time they'll come harder. How much harder can they come? Delgado asks. A distant helicopter's thrum answers her question. Through his scope, Riley spots military-grade transport helicopters approaching from the south. Not cartel vehicles, these bear private military contractor markings. They're escalating. He analyzes, bringing in professional mercenaries now. This just became a different kind of fight. What kind? The kind I spent 15 years perfecting. Riley begins calculating new defensive positions. Time to remind them why Navy SEALs are considered the world's deadliest hunters. Cooper's voice crackles over the radio. Boss, you need to see this. Drone. Footage showing major cartel movements all along the border. They're mobilizing everything. Good. Riley's expression suggests this was expected. Means they're committing resources, making mistakes. Those aren't mistakes, Delgado argues. Those are advantages. Only if you think like a conventional soldier. Riley begins outlining new plans. We're about to give them an education in unconventional warfare. The helicopters grow larger on the horizon as Riley's team prepares for the next phase. The cartel is about to learn why some old soldiers are best left in retirement before they remind you exactly how they earned their reputation. Military helicopters circle Shadow Creek Ranch like vultures, their rotors cutting through the morning. Air. Riley counts 4 Black Hawks, each loaded with private military contractors. Not cartel thugs playing soldier. These are real operators carrying serious hardware. Those aren't standard mercenaries, Cooper observes through his scope. Matching gear, disciplined formations, former special forces, maybe Russian or South African. Spetsnaz tactics, Riley confirms, watching their approach pattern. See how they maintain spacing? That's Moscow's playbook. Delgado checks her tablet. No flight plans filed, no transponders. These birds are ghosts. Just like we used to run. Torres switches channels. Condition red. Already got something special for them. Cooper's voice carries professional satisfaction. Remember that trick from Mogadishu? Do it. The first helicopter begins its insertion run. Ropes deploy as heavily armed contractors prepare to descend. That's when Cooper springs his trap. Modified irrigation equipment unleashes precise water jets, disrupting the rappel lines. Elite soldiers suddenly find themselves fighting physics instead of farmers. Oldest trick in the book, Riley explains. To Delgado, can't fast rope through a water cannon. The helicopters adapt quickly, switching to new insertion points. Their coordination shows extensive training as they establish overlapping fields of fire, but Riley's already moving to counter. Cooper, light up the south field. Precision charges transform prepared landing zones into chaos. The helicopters break formation. Their pilots demonstrating professional skill as they avoid the worst of it, but they're reacting now, losing initiative. 2 birds landing hard west, Cooper reports. Looks like they're heavy weapons teams. Let them, Riley. Switches position smoothly, right where we want them. The mercenaries deploy with textbook precision, their movements showing years of combat experience. Their leader coordinates through sophisticated communications gear, directing teams with practiced efficiency. Multiple squads moving in fire. Teams, Cooper analyzes. These guys are the real deal. So are we. Riley's voice remains steady. Execute prairie fire. Hidden charges reshape the battlefield. Pre-positioned farm equipment becomes mobile cover as Riley's team demonstrates their own military expertise. The mercenaries find themselves fighting against the terrain itself. Contact front. A Russian accent carries over captured radio frequencies. They're using guided fire, professional coordination, because we're not just farmers, Riley mutters, his shot dropping their communication specialist. Time they learn that. The battle transforms into a complex chess game as elite soldiers clash across prepared killing grounds. The mercenaries show their training through sophisticated small unit tactics, but Riley's experience proves decisive as he predicts and counters their textbook responses. They're pushing north, Delgado warns. trying to flank our position. No, Riley's tactical mind sees the bigger picture. They're pushing us north, away from something. Realization hits as new vehicles appear on their southern border. Civilian trucks loaded with construction equipment. While the mercenaries hold their attention, cartel workers prepare to start building. Clever, Riley acknowledges. Cooper, shift fire south, don't let them break ground. Can't. Cooper's voice carries tension. Heavy teams have us pinned. These guys know what they're doing. A helicopter gunship emerges from behind the ridge, its weapons already tracking. Professional mercenaries are expensive, but the cartel's resources run deep. Everyone down, Riley commands as cannon fire tears through their positions. Military-grade weapons transform the ranch into a war zone. Martinez's voice crackles over. The radio. Taking casualties, 3 wounded in the barn, need cover to reach them. Little busy, Torres responds, his position taking heavy fire. I'll go. Delgado checks her weapon. Used to run combat medicine with the Marines. Wait for my signal, Riley orders. The gunship begins another attack run, its pilot demonstrating expert handling. Now modified farm equipment launches a coordinated response. Improvised rockets built from fertilizer and farming chemicals force the helicopter into evasive maneuvers. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to disrupt its attack pattern. Delgado moves like a combat veteran, reaching the wounded, under covering fire. Martinez talks her through emergency treatment over the radio, their combined skills keeping Riley's people alive. Multiple teams breaching the perimeter, Cooper reports. We're getting overlapped. Fall back to secondary positions, Riley commands. Draw them in! The mercenaries advance with professional caution, scanning for traps. Their leader coordinates through encrypted channels, demonstrating why private military contractors command premium rates. They're pushing us toward the house, Torres observes. Good. Riley's tone suggests this was expected. Let them think they have us cornered. The gunship returns, supporting the mercenary advance with precise fire. Riley's team conducts a fighting withdrawal, making their opponents pay for every foot of ground. But the pressure builds as superior numbers and firepower take their toll. Running low on options, boss, Cooper warns. Not yet. Riley studies enemy movements, his tactical mind, finding patterns. They think they're fighting farmers who got lucky. Time to educate them. A mercenary team breaches the barn's defensive position, their night vision gear giving them confidence in the shadowed interior. They clear corners with professional efficiency, everything by the book. Now they're getting sloppy, Riley notes. Cooper, show them why we let them take the barn. The structure's entire electrical system becomes a weapon. Stored power from hidden generators transforms the barn into a massive taser, dropping elite soldiers before they can react. Their military training never prepared them for this kind of adaptive warfare. That's going to hurt their professional reputation, Delgado observes, finishing field dressings on the wounded. Good. Riley switches positions again. Reputations. Everything in their business. Let's ruin it completely. The mercenary leader recognizes the shift in momentum, his voice carrying frustration as he orders his men to fall back and regroup. Elite soldiers begin a professional withdrawal, covering each other with practiced coordination. They're not retreating, Riley analyzes. They're adapting. Next wave will be worse. How much worse can it get? Martinez asks, treating Torres's shoulder wound. Satellite phones start ringing across the battlefield. The mercenary teams receive new orders, their body language showing surprise. Through his scope, Riley watches their leader argue with someone unseen. Probably cartel commanders, demanding better results. Lot worse, he answers. They're about to stop fighting like professionals and start fighting like criminals. That's when it gets ugly. The gunship receives new orders, its weapons turning toward the ranch house instead of defensive positions. The mercenaries' professional restraint disappears as cartel leadership takes direct control. They're going to level everything, Delgado realizes. Civilian casualties don't matter anymore. No, Riley's voice carries cold certainty. They're going to try. The gunship begins its attack run as Riley's team prepares for the next phase. The cartel is about to learn that pushing some veterans too far doesn't make them break. It makes them remember who they really are. The gunship's shadow sweeps across Shadow Creek Ranch like death's own hand, its weapon systems tracking methodically, ready to reduce everything to rubble. Riley watches through his scope, mind calculating angles and possibilities. That's a Mi-24, Torres identifies. Heavily modified, I recognize the weapon's configuration from contractor ops in Yemen. Can you take it down with a Stinger? Riley asks quietly. With anti-aircraft missiles, sure. Torres's laugh carries no humor. Got any hidden in the barn? Better. Riley switches channels. Martinez, remember that grain silo we modified last month? The one you said we'd never need, already on it. The gunship begins its attack run, its pilot demonstrating expert handling, maintaining optimal firing position while minimizing exposure. Professional work, but they're fighting someone who wrote the book on improvised warfare. Cooper, get ready to paint that target, Riley orders. Delgado, I need a distraction. What kind? Expensive kind. Understanding clicks. Delgado removes a signal flare from her tactical gear. They're expecting civilians to break and run. Give them what they expect. The flare arcs across the morning sky, drawing the gunship's attention. Its pilot responds predictably, tracking the potential threat. That's when Martinez reveals their surprise. The grain silo's roof splits open, revealing a modified fertilizer cannon, industrial-grade equipment repurposed into an improvised anti-aircraft weapon. The gunship pilot realizes the trap too late. Now, Riley commands. Pressurized agricultural. Chemicals erupt skyward, not enough to destroy the aircraft, but more than enough to foul its engines and blind its sensors. The gunship lurches as its pilot fights for control. Hit the engines. Cooper's laser designator guides Martinez's second shot. More chemical spray catches the helicopter's air intakes. Warning alarms shriek across captured radio frequencies as multiple systems fail. The gunship pilot demonstrates impressive skill, fighting his crippled aircraft away from the ranch, but skill means nothing against physics. The helicopter spins earthward, its crew abandoning professional protocol for desperate survival. Target down, Cooper confirms with professional satisfaction. But we just used our ace card. They'll adapt. Switch positions, everyone. Riley agrees. They're about to. Machine gun fire interrupts as mercenary teams launch a coordinated assault. Their communication shows frustration. Elite soldiers forced to attack like common criminals, but their skill remains deadly. Taking fire, Torres reports. Heavy weapons team flanking east. Got them. Riley's rifle cracks 3 times. 3. Mercenaries drop, their expensive body armor useless against precise shot placement. Boss, Martinez's voice carries urgency. Cooper's hit bad. Riley moves without hesitation, covering ground between positions as bullets tear through the air. He finds Cooper conscious but bleeding. Martinez already working to save him. Caught a ricochet, Cooper manages through clenched teeth. Sorry. Hey boss, stay with me. Riley provides covering fire as Martinez works. Remember Damascus? This is nothing. Damascus had better medical supplies, Martinez notes grimly. I need a proper facility. Delgado's voice crackles over the radio. Riley, we've got bigger problems. Just intercepted cartel communications. This isn't about your ranch anymore. Never was. Riley reloads smoothly. What did you find? They're building something big. Multiple sites all along the border. Your ranch was just one piece. Infrastructure. She pauses. But here's the real problem. Some of the permits are signed by federal officials. This goes higher than the cartel. Mercenary teams press their attack, forcing Riley's people further back. But their aggression makes them predictable. Riley's experience shows, as he systematically eliminates threats, we need to move Cooper, Martinez insists, working on the wound. Working on it, Riley studies the battlefield. Torres, how's our backup plan? Ready when you are, but it's going. To be loud. Loud works. Riley switches channels. Everyone get ready. Delgado, you might want to look away from the south field. Why? The explosion drowns her question. Their entire stockpile of farming chemicals detonates in a carefully calculated chain reaction. The blast wave catches mercenary teams in prepared. Kill zones, turning their superior position into a death trap. Fall back by teams. The mercenary leader's voice carries desperate professionalism. Full withdrawal now. Elite soldiers conduct an emergency retreat as secondary explosions transform the battlefield. Their training shows even in defeat as they maintain unit cohesion under fire. They're running, Delgado confirms. No, Riley watches them go. They're reporting. Cartel leadership just learned they can't take this place by force. That means they'll try something worse. What's worse than this? They'll get creative. Riley helps Martinez stabilize Cooper. Start targeting things we care about, people we want to protect. We won this fight, Delgado argues. Didn't win anything. Riley's voice carries cold certainty. Just convince them to stop playing nice. Now the real war starts. As if confirming his words, new vehicles appear on the horizon. Not military hardware this time, but civilian trucks carrying construction equipment, escorted by local law enforcement. Sheriff's Department, Delgado identifies. Those are county vehicles. And there it is. Riley studies the approaching convoy. They're done fighting. Now they're going to try to take this place legally. Can they do that? They can try. Riley begins calculating new strategies. But some fights don't end just because someone changes the rules. Cooper manages a pained laugh. Going to need more than paperwork to take this place. They know that. Riley watches the convoy approach. Question is, how far are they willing to go? And what happens when they learn some old soldiers don't stop fighting just because the battlefield changes? The morning sun illuminates burning wreckage as Riley's team prepares for a different kind of war. The cartel thought they could take his ranch by force. Now they'll learn why some veterans are more dangerous when you force them to get creative. Sheriff's vehicles surround Shadow Creek Ranch like circling wolves, their lights painting the smoke-filled air in red and blue. Riley stands on his porch, watching county officials approach with suspicious paperwork, his tactical mind processing this new battlefield with cold precision. Through it all, the smoldering ruins of the gunship serve as a testament to what happens when you underestimate quiet ranchers with combat-weathered hands. But even as the smoke clears, Riley knows this is just the beginning. Sometimes the deadliest fights aren't won with bullets, but with the kind of patience that turns enemies' own systems against them. Sheriff's vehicles surround Shadow Creek Ranch like circling wolves, their lights painting the smoke-filled air. In red and blue, Riley stands on his porch, watching county officials approach with suspicious paperwork, his tactical mind processing this new battlefield with cold precision. Got quite a mess here, Riley, Sheriff Davidson calls out, waving condemnation orders. County's declared this property a public hazard. We're here to evacuate the premises. Interesting timing, Riley responds evenly. Considering the cartel just failed to take it by force. This is a legal matter now. The sheriff's practiced authority carries an edge of threat. Don't make it complicated. Already complicated. Riley nods toward Delgado. Show him. She steps forward with her own documents. Federal investigation in progress. This property is under Border Patrol jurisdiction now. Since when? Since we found these. She produces photos of the construction markers, cartel infrastructure plans, signed by someone in your office. The sheriff's expression hardens. Careful with accusations, Agent. Not accusations. Riley's voice remains steady. Intelligence. 20 years gathering it. Want to see what else I've collected? Inside the ranch house, Martinez treats Cooper's wounds while monitoring police frequencies. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, but her expression shows concern. His fever's rising, she reports. That round was dirty, probably intentional. Contamination, biological warfare, Cooper manages through gritted teeth. These guys don't mess around, neither do we. Riley turns to Torres. Time to use your other training. Been a while since law school, Torres admits, already pulling files from a hidden safe. But some skills never fade. The sheriff's men, spread out, maintaining pretense of a legal operation, but their movements show military precision, not regular deputies. Cartel infiltrators with badges. Getting creative, Delgado observes. Using corrupt officials to do their dirty work. Standard. Playbook. Riley studies their positions. But they forgot something important. What's that? I've been fighting this kind of war longer than they have. Truck engines rumble in the distance. Through his scope, Riley counts vehicles approaching from multiple directions. Not cartel this time. Local ranchers coming to stand with one of their own. Communities noticed what's happening, Delgado realizes. More than noticed, Riley allows himself a slight smile. They've chosen sides. The first trucks arrive, their drivers carrying farming tools that could easily become weapons. The sheriff's men tense, hands straying toward weapons as the situation shifts. This is still a legal matter, the sheriff insists, but his authority sounds hollow now. Is it? Torres emerges with documents. Because these property records show interesting patterns. Lots of local ranches changing hands lately, all going to shell companies traced back to your department. You've been investigating us? No. Riley's cold certainty carries weight. Been hunting you. Same way I hunted cartels in South America. Building evidence, finding patterns, waiting for mistakes. More ranchers arrive, their numbers growing. The sheriff's men begin looking nervous, realizing they're surrounded by people they've wronged. Your badges don't make you untouchable. Riley continues. Ask your cartel friends about Operation Barracuda, about how one team dismantled their entire Colombian operation, legally, methodically, until nothing remained. That was you? Does it matter? What matters is I've done this before, and you just gave me everything I need to do it again. Martinez appears with medical records. Found something interesting in county files. All these sudden property seizures had medical justifications, signed by doctors who don't exist. Clever system, Delgado analyzes. Use health code violations to force people out, then flip the properties to cartel front companies. Very clever, Riley agrees. Also very documented. Every signature, every false inspection, every bribe, all logged and backed up. The sheriff's composure cracks slightly. You're bluffing. Test me. Riley's voice carries absolute certainty. See what happens when that evidence reaches federal oversight. How many badges turn into prison sentences? Cooper's voice crackles over their radio. More vehicles approaching. Unmarked SUVs. Cartel reinforcements. No. Riley studies the new. Arrivals. Something worse. Federal suits, probably cartel payroll, coming to clean up loose ends. How is that worse? Because now we know how high this goes. Riley begins calculating new strategies. They're not just corrupting local law enforcement. They're burning assets to contain exposure. The SUVs stop at a careful distance. Men in expensive suits emerge, their authority radiating deeper corruption. Time to go, Sheriff, one calls out. This situation's been contained. Like hell it has. Delgado steps forward, badge displayed. This is now a federal crime scene. Human trafficking and drug smuggling infrastructure documented. Nobody leaves. The suit's smile carries practiced menace. Check your phone, Agent. Orders from your superiors. This investigation is closed. Her phone buzzes on cue, but instead of backing down, she smiles. Funny thing about orders, they have signatures. Signatures create patterns. Patterns become evidence. You're making a mistake, the suit warns. No, Riley moves to stand beside her. You made the mistake thinking badges and paperwork could stop someone who spent 20 years hunting bigger prey than you. The ranchers move closer, their numbers now overwhelming. The sheriff's men begin backing toward their vehicles, realizing how quickly the situation could turn. This isn't over, the suit promises. Yes, it is. Riley's tactical mind sees victory approaching. You just don't know it yet, but you will when the real federal investigations start, when your whole operation gets exposed, when everyone realizes how deep this really goes. The suits withdraw, taking their corrupted law enforcement with them, but Riley's expression shows no satisfaction. This wasn't a victory, just confirmation of a bigger war to come. They'll be back, Delgado notes. Yes, Riley begins planning next moves, but not with badges this time. Now they know we can fight them legally. That means they'll try something desperate. How desperate? Desperate enough to make violence look subtle. Riley turns to address the gathered ranchers. They're about to learn why some fights can't be won with money or corruption. Why some soldiers are more dangerous when you force them to get creative. The morning sun illuminates a community united against growing darkness. The cartel thought they could take this land through legal manipulation. Now they'll learn why some veterans are deadliest when fighting for something bigger than themselves. Night falls over Shadow Creek Ranch as Riley studies surveillance footage on multiple screens. Each monitor shows the same pattern. Cartel vehicles parked outside homes, schools, businesses, not threatening, just watching. Their message clear: we can reach anyone anywhere. They're targeting families now, Delgado reports, laying out photos. Every rancher who stood with us today has cartel surveillance on their property. Expected this, Riley's tactical mind processes threats and vulnerabilities. They're done, trying to take the ranch now. They want to break the community's will. Cooper's voice comes weak from his medical bed. Boss, found something. That round wasn't just dirty, it was engineered. Martinez holds up test results. He's right. The bullet was coated with a designer bacteria, military-grade bioweapon. They're not just trying to kill, they're sending a message about what they can do. They're escalating. Riley studies casualty projections. One infected round today. Tomorrow they could contaminate the town's water supply. Torres enters with more intelligence. Found their pattern. Every local official who opposed them suddenly had scandals appear. Perfect documentation, untraceable sources. They've got a professional blackmail operation. Not just blackmail, Delgado checks her phone. Just got orders from above. I'm being transferred. Effective immediately. They're isolating us, Riley analyzes. Removing support structures. Classic siege tactics. Martinez's hands shake slightly as she changes Cooper's bandages. They approached me at the clinic. Said they'd pull my medical license if I keep helping you. Called it a regulatory review. Same with other businesses, Torres adds. Bank loans suddenly called in, health inspections appearing from nowhere. They're squeezing everyone who stands with us. Riley's expression hardens. That's their mistake. They think pressure makes people break. Sometimes it just shows them what they're willing to fight for. A phone rings, not their secure lines. The caller ID shows Riley's old military contact. They found your files, his friend warns without greeting. The classified ones about Operation Kingfisher. They know what really happened in Colombia. Understood. Riley's voice remains steady. Burn everything Ghost Protocol. Already done, but Riley, they're not just coming for you now. They're coming for everyone who served with you, every mission, every operator. Let them come. Riley begins accessing encrypted databases. Some ghosts bite back. Delgado studies tactical maps. They've got people stationed at every exit from town. Control the roads, control the population. Not every exit. Riley highlights terrain features. There are ways out they don't know about. Ways we used to move whole teams through hostile. territory. The ranchers won't leave their homes. They will. Riley's certainty carries weight. When they understand the alternative, Cooper manages to sit up, his fever burning with engineered precision. They're testing delivery systems, small scale now, but those mercs had military bioweapon training. This is just the beginning. I know. Riley checks surveillance feeds. They're seeing how we react, planning larger deployment. Martinez examines bacterial cultures. This strain, it's sophisticated, designed to spread through water systems. One infected source could contaminate the whole valley, which is why we evacuate. Riley's tactical mind calculates logistics. Not just the ranchers, everyone, before they can implement larger attacks. The town won't believe the threat, Delgado argues. They will. Riley pulls up more files. Because we're going to show them exactly what the cartel's capable of. Every operation, every atrocity, with documentation they can't ignore. Torres studies legal documents. They've already started seizing bank accounts, freezing assets. People won't be able to leave even if they want to. That's assuming they use banks. Riley reveals hidden safes in the ranch house. 20 years of operating in hostile territory teaches you to keep resources offline. We've got enough cash to move everyone out. They'll try to stop us, Delgado warns. Count on it. Riley begins marking evacuation routes. That's why we give them something bigger to worry about. Martinez looks up from her microscope. The bacteria's man-made, has to have a production facility nearby. Already found it. Riley displays satellite photos hidden in their construction sites. Biological research disguised as agricultural testing. One anonymous tip to the CDC, Delgado realizes. They'll burn everything. Try to eliminate evidence. Riley's expression shows grim satisfaction. Creating chaos we can use to get people out. But the town has to understand the threat first, Delgado insists. They will. Riley activates secure communications. Because tonight, we show them everything, every document, every photo, every piece of evidence we've gathered. Let them see exactly what kind of enemy they're facing. Outside, cartel vehicles continue their silent psychological warfare, but they've made a critical mistake, thinking pressure would break this community's will. Instead, they've given it something to fight against. Get ready, Riley orders. Tomorrow we remind them why some fights can't be won through intimidation, why some veterans are most dangerous when protecting others. The night grows darker as Riley's team prepares to evacuate an entire community. The cartel thought they could break people's spirits through fear. Now they'll learn why that fear sometimes turns to something much more dangerous. The will to fight back. Through surveillance, feeds, Riley watches cartel teams systematically intimidate his neighbors. Each screen shows another family under surveillance, another business being squeezed, another official being pressured. But where the cartel sees leverage, Riley sees something else. Evidence. Every act of intimidation becomes another document. In his growing file, every threat another piece of proof for what's coming. His tactical mind processes patterns, seeing not just the current threat, but the strategy behind it. They're not just trying to control the community, they're testing it, measuring responses, planning something bigger. The bioweapon was just the start. Dawn breaks over Shadow Creek Ranch as the town comes alive with controlled chaos. Families load essential belongings into vehicles, while Riley's team coordinates their escape through predetermined routes. Every movement calculated, every contingency planned. First group's ready? Torres reports from the church parking lot. 20 vehicles, mostly women and children, using the old mining roads like you suggested. Maintain convoy discipline, Riley instructs through secure channels. They'll be watching the main roads. Expect interference. Delgado monitors police frequencies from her makeshift command post. Cartel's got checkpoints on every major highway. They're stopping vehicles, checking IDs. Let them. Riley studies topographical maps. While they're focused on official routes, our people are already gone. Martinez bursts in, holding test results. The bioweapon. It's not just engineered. Bacteria. They've modified it to target specific genetic markers. They're developing a designer plague. Explains the construction sites, Riley analyzes. Not just smuggling routes, they're building testing facilities. Cooper's fevered voice carries urgency. Boss, remember Venezuela? The agricultural research sites? Already on it, Riley accesses archived mission files. Same setup, same cover story, but this time they've got better funding. Cartel vehicles patrol the streets, their presence a clear threat, but the town's evacuation continues beneath their notice. Families disappearing through back roads and hidden trails that don't appear on any map. Second groups moving, Torres confirms. Using the old ranch hands network, these people know every deer trail and cattle path for 50 miles. Delgado checks her phone as it buzzes with new orders. They're mobilizing state police, setting up a quarantine perimeter, claiming it's a public health emergency. Perfect cover story, Riley notes. Lets them lock down the whole area legally. Through surveillance cameras, they watch cartel teams searching empty houses. Professional operators realizing their quarry is already gone. They're getting frustrated, Delgado observes, starting to make mistakes. Count on it. Riley monitors evacuation progress. Frustrated people get aggressive. Aggressive people get predictable. Martinez reviews medical data. The bacteria's design, it's sophisticated, military grade. Someone with serious resources is backing their operation. More than backing, Riley displays intelligence files. They're using the cartel as cover, testing delivery systems for something bigger. Cooper's condition worsens as the engineered infection spreads. North Korean bioweapon signature, saw it in classified briefs. Which means this goes beyond the cartel. Riley's tactical mind processes implications. They're just the visible threat, the real enemy's still hidden. An explosion rocks the town's water treatment plant. Cartel teams move with military precision, destroying evidence of their biological research. Right on schedule, Riley notes. They're burning their labs, eliminating proof. While we document everything, Delgado adds, her cameras capturing detailed footage. Their cleanup becomes our evidence. Torres's voice crackles with urgency. Got problems. Cartel hit team moving toward the hospital. They know we're evacuating. Patience. Let them come. Riley activates preset charges around the hospital perimeter. Sometimes the best defense is letting them think they're winning. The hit team approaches with professional caution. Elite operators moving in practiced formation until the ground erupts beneath them. Not explosives, but high-pressure water mains transformed into weapons. Like I said, Riley allows himself a grim smile. Predictable, Martinez monitors Cooper's vitals. The infection's spreading, but something's wrong. His immune response isn't what they expected. The weapon's backfiring, Torres suggests. It's not backfiring, Riley studies medical data. It's evolving, doing exactly what they designed it to do. Adapt and multiply. They're playing with forces they can't control, Martinez realizes. That's their pattern. Riley begins accessing deeper files. Same mistake they made in South America, creating weapons they couldn't contain. Delgado's radio crackles with encrypted transmissions. Cartel leadership is moving in personally. They're done playing games. Good. Riley's expression shows cold satisfaction. Means they're getting desperate. Desperate enough to expose themselves. Through surveillance feeds, they watch unmarked helicopters approaching. Not mercenaries this time. Cartel command elements coming to handle the situation personally. They think this is about territory, Riley notes. About one ranch fighting back. Time they learned what it's really about. What is it really about? Delgado asks. Justice. Riley begins implementing his endgame. 20 years ago, they buried evidence of weapons programs in South America. Thought they'd eliminated everyone who knew. Never realized one team survived. Never knew we spent 20 years gathering proof. Now they know, Cooper manages through his fever, and they're coming for us. Let them come. Riley watches evacuation groups disappear into the landscape. While they hunt us, an entire community slips through their fingers. Sometimes the best victory isn't winning the fight, it's making sure the right people survive it. Through surveillance feeds, they watch the last families vanish into the desert dawn. The cartel thought they could contain a population through fear and force. Now they'll learn why some battles are lost the moment you think you're winning. The morning sun illuminates empty streets as Shadow Creek's people fade into the landscape. Riley's tactical mind processes the next phase. Not just evacuation now, but evidence collection. Every move the cartel makes becomes proof of something bigger. Their desperation revealing truths they thought were buried. They wanted territory, but they're about to get exposure. They sought control, but they're about to lose everything. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in the fight itself. It's in making sure the enemy's actions become evidence of their own destruction. Riley watches the helicopters approach, carrying cartel leadership into his carefully prepared trap. They think they're coming to crush resistance. Instead, they're walking into 20 years of patience. Sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't what you fight with. It's what you make the enemy expose about themselves. Black helicopters descend on Shadow, Greek ranch like mechanized vultures, kicking up dust storms across empty streets. Cartel Commander Ramirez steps onto American soil, his custom tactical gear marking him as someone who leads from the front. Elite security teams spread out in practiced formation, securing a ghost town. Status report, Ramirez demands in his command vehicle. Town's empty, his security chief admits. They evacuated right under our noses, using routes we never knew existed. Impossible. We had every road covered. They didn't use roads. The chief displays drone footage. They went. Cross-country through terrain our vehicles can't follow. At Shadow Creek Ranch, Riley watches their deployment through high-powered optics, his tactical mind cataloging strengths and weaknesses as the cartel leadership reveals itself. Ramirez is running scared, he analyzes, bringing his whole security. Detail means he's expecting something big. He should be scared. Martinez emerges from the medical bay, holding test results. Cooper's blood work shows something incredible. The bioweapon isn't just failing. His body is producing antibodies, specific ones. What kind of antibodies? The kind that could neutralize their whole weapon program. Her eyes show professional excitement. His SEAL team immunizations. They must have included experimental vaccines, ones designed specifically for this type of agent. Some birthday gift from Uncle Sam. Cooper manages a weak laugh. More than a gift. Riley's mind races with implications. It's proof, evidence that someone in our government knew about these weapons, prepared for them. Delgado accesses classified databases. Found something. Operation Clean Shield, 2006. Military vaccine program specifically targeting engineered bioweapons. But it was shut down, officially never existed. Officially, Riley's expression hardens. But someone made sure SEAL teams got those shots. Someone knew what was coming. Torres' voice crackles over secure channels. Boss, you need to see this. Drone footage showing major cartel movements all along the border. They're mobilizing everything. Good. Riley's expression suggests this was expected. Means they're committing resources, making mistakes. Those aren't mistakes, Delgado argues. Those are advantages. Only if you think like a conventional soldier. Riley begins implementing countermeasures. Their weapon programs compromised, their testing facilities exposed. Everything they've built is at risk. They're still trying to collect samples. Martinez reports, getting mutation data even during evacuation. Let them try, Riley's voice carries certainty. Every attempt becomes evidence. Every action proves what they've been doing. Through surveillance feeds, they watch Ramirez coordinate increasingly aggressive searches. Elite operators reduced to kicking indoors while their real objective slips. Away! They're calling in reinforcements, Delgado reports. Heavy weapons teams, armored vehicles. Good. More resources committed, more evidence gathered, more proof of what they're really doing here. Martinez prepares medical equipment. Cooper's strong enough to move. We should evacuate while we can. Not yet. Riley's tactical mind sees the bigger picture. Ramirez isn't just a cartel commander. He's connected to people who thought they buried these weapons programs years ago. People who will do anything to keep them hidden. You want to draw them out, Delgado realizes. Want them to know what it feels like. Riley's voice carries 2 decades of cold purpose. To watch everything they've built crumble. To understand that some secrets don't stay buried. Through surveillance cameras, they watch Ramirez coordinate increasingly aggressive searches. His professional demeanor cracks as pressure mounts from above. "Sir," his security chief calls out, "we found something. Plans in the sheriff's office. Evacuation routes. Get teams moving," Ramirez orders. Cut them off before an explosion cuts him off as charges transform the sheriff's office into a fireball. Not meant to kill, meant to destroy exactly the right evidence, leaving just enough to implicate exactly the right people. Like I said, Riley allows himself a grim smile. Sometimes you let the enemy think he's winning, right until he realizes he's already lost. The morning sun illuminates Ramirez's growing desperation as his operation unravels. The cartel commander thought he was hunting a small group of veterans. Instead, he's exposed himself to something far more dangerous, the consequences of his own actions. They're deploying something new, Torres warns. Multiple vehicles, modified dispersal equipment, biological agents. Martinez confirms from her sealed lab. They're combining everything, chemical, experimental compounds, creating a death zone. Because they can't control the evidence anymore, Riley analyzes. So they'll destroy everyone. Who carries it in their blood? Civilian bunkers have been breached, Delgado's voice crackles with urgency. They're using thermobaric weapons. They're cooking people alive. Torres. Status on the mining tunnel evacuation. Half the civilians clear, but Ramirez's people found the main shaft. They've got heavy weapons teams setting up. Through surveillance feeds, they watch cartel operators deploy specialized equipment. Not just guns, torture devices designed to extract information from anyone who might escape. They're not just killing now, Delgado observes grimly. They're making examples, ensuring no one ever exposes programs like this again. Martinez rushes in with critical data. The combined agents, they're creating something new. Mutations we never predicted. The weapons evolving faster than natural laws should allow, because that's what it was designed to do, Cooper reveals, his fever spiking again as the weapon reacts to his enhanced immunity. Adapt. Evolve. Find new ways to target specific genetic markers while eliminating everyone else. Ramirez's voice carries satisfaction as he watches Shadow Creek burn. Containment protocols proceeding as planned. No further evidence will... His transmission cuts off as military gunships engage his position. General Preston's forces refusing to allow the slaughter of American citizens. International response teams 5 minutes out, Delgado reports. But the civilians in that bunker don't have 5 minutes. Riley studies tactical displays, his mind. In processing options, Torres, can you reach them? Negative. Cartel's got kill zones established. Anyone approaches, they use the civilians as examples. Then we make them look somewhere else. Riley begins implementing his most desperate plan. Cooper, you're about to get worse, much worse. Understanding dawns in Cooper's eyes. You're going to trigger my immunity response. Create a biological beacon they can't ignore. They want test subjects so badly. Riley checks his weapon. Let's give them something worth chasing, Martinez protests. The strains are unstable. We don't know how his enhanced immunity will react. Yes, we do. Cooper's voice carries soldier's certainty. It'll give these people a chance to survive. Sometimes winning buys many through sacrifice of few. Through tactical feeds they watch. Cartel teams adjust position as Cooper's condition deteriorates. Their scientific curiosity overwhelming tactical discipline. They're taking the bait, Delgado confirms, redirecting heavy weapons teams to pursue the immunity response. Because they can't help themselves, Riley's satisfaction shows. 20 years developing targeting weapons. Now they'll chase the one subject who might prove their success. Using their own obsession against them, Martinez observes. Not just using, Riley's voice carries cold purpose. Judging, sometimes the best weapon isn't what you fight with, it's what you sacrifice. Sometimes victory costs everything. Cooper finishes, his body becoming a beacon that draws their hunters away from civilian evacuation routes. Through it all, Shadow Creek Ranch transforms from battlefield to evidence, Ramirez's operation destroying itself in its desperate pursuit of validation. Riley watches from his command position as cartel forces expose their entire operation, chasing Cooper's enhanced immunity signal. The morning sun rises on more than just victory. It illuminates justice. Long delayed. Cooper's sacrifice draws every cartel team away from the civilian evacuations, their scientific obsession making them abandon all tactical sense. Each move they make, each weapon they reveal, becomes evidence of everything they tried to hide. International. Response teams arrive in force. CDC, FBI, military oversight. Everyone the cartel never wanted involved, drawn by proof they can't ignore. Ramirez watches his command crumble as decades of shadow operations face harsh daylight. "You've destroyed everything," Ramirez snarls at Riley during his final stand. "No," Riley's voice carries 2 decades of patience. "You did that yourself. Every illegal weapon you used, every civilian you threatened, every secret program you exposed, trying to maintain control. We just made sure the right people were watching." The cartel commander's capture marks more than an end to the siege of Shadow Creek Ranch. Files recovered from his command vehicle expose the entire weapons program, leading to international investigations and arrests, reaching into the highest levels of multiple governments. Cooper recovers, his enhanced immunity becoming the key to developing protection against weapons that were never supposed to exist. The community rebuilds, stronger for having stood together against forces that thought they could rule through fear. Shadow Creek Ranch still stands, its weathered walls now bearing proud scars of resistance. Riley watches the sunset from his porch, knowing some victories aren't measured in battles won, but in truths exposed and justice served. Sometimes the greatest weapon isn't what you fight with, it's what you force the enemy to reveal about themselves. And sometimes the most important battles are won not by soldiers who know how to fight, but by veterans who remember why they fought in the first place. Engaging with viewers. If this story of justice and standing against intimidation resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're bringing you more incredible true stories of courage, sacrifice, and triumph against impossible odds. Hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss our next powerful narrative. Your support helps us continue sharing these remarkable tales of ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories waiting for you right on your screen. If you enjoyed this one, you won't want to miss these. Just click to watch and don't forget to subscribe. It would mean a lot. Remember, sometimes the most powerful force isn't in the weapons we carry, but in the courage to stand together against those who would rule through fear. See you in our next video.